Okay, today we're talking about microphones, specifically wired versus wireless. Now, obviously one is more convenient than the other. If I needed to wire this microphone to the camera, I would need this microphone, an XLR cable, an adapter for the XLR cable, a recorder, and then this recorder would then need to pipe into the camera. Whereas wireless is just this. This is obviously more convenient, but what's the trade-off? Hey, I'm Nick Friend, and I make content about making content. And sometimes that's talking about gear, and that's what we're doing today. So this is the Comica CVM-VM30 wireless shotgun microphone, and there's one very clever thing about this $190 piece of kit. The shotgun mic itself has a built-in transmitter that goes to this receiver that you then plug into your recording device. And right off the bat, I just want to say that this is like the most clever idea that I've seen in audio hardware in a very, very long time. Before this, I would have to take this microphone and then send this signal to a transmitter, and then the transmitter would then have to send a signal to the receiver. Building the transmitter into the microphone itself solves a lot more problems than I think it initially set out to. Namely, ergonomics. With a shotgun mount like the one that comes with this microphone, you're able to mount this entire thing onto either a boom pole or directly onto the camera, or you can just alternatively just kind of hold it like this. Prior to this specific setup, you would have to have an additional piece of hardware that looked a lot like this hooked onto this somehow, which just bulked up the system and made it inherently more difficult to work with. But here's the thing about convenience. It's a give and take scenario. So what are you losing by increasing the level of convenience that this piece of hardware gives? So the first thing that I would like for you to keep in mind is that wired microphones are almost always going to give you slightly better quality than any microphone that is sending a wireless transmission. It's just sort of how things work. Particularly phantom powered microphones, because they're not generating their own power source, which doesn't take anything away from the signal that that microphone is picking up. That's important to remember. So straight off the bat, this microphone, which is the Audio-Technica AT875R, is a phantom powered microphone, whereas the Comica VM30 is not. This operates under its own power. This uses an XLR cable to get its power. This is powered by an internal battery, which is charged by USB-C. So from the beginning, I knew that this was not going to be as good as this, but I wanted to see what the difference was between the two of them.
Okay, this is literally the very first recording that I've ever made using this Comica VM30, and I've got the level set between this and my AT875R, my trusty go-to workhorse shotgun microphone that I've been using for years. I love this thing. It's great. So this is the real test of this, because the first thing that I noticed when I was setting the levels for the camera for this specific shoot, when I was setting the levels for the 875R, which is a wired microphone that feeds directly into the camera from here. Normally it'd be mounted on top of the camera. What I noticed was that setting the levels for this meant that I would have to check the levels visually on my meters, go to the back of the camera, reset the dial to make sure that my gain was adjusted appropriately, and then come back and check it again. The difference between that and this is that this has gain control built into the microphone. So on the back of the microphone, you can see that it actually has built-in gain control in that knob on the back of the microphone. So what that means is when I'm actually monitoring the meters visually, I can adjust the gain simply by reaching up to the microphone like this. And that makes it a lot easier to use in a setting where I have to use the microphone pointed at myself with the camera pointing at me as well. Because I don't have to go between two separate systems. It's all sort of seamlessly built into one via wireless transmission and gain control on the actual recording device, in this scenario, the microphone. Ergonomically, these two microphones are also almost exactly the same. They both weigh very, very similar weights. They both are basically the same size. The Comica is a little bit wider in diameter, but honestly, that's pretty helpful because that means it fits more snug in most shotgun mounts. Also, this came with a shotgun mount and this didn't.
So after that test, I could tell a distinct difference between the VM30 and the 875R. It's very, very clear which one is which based on their raw, unfiltered settings. That said, I think that the VM30 by Comica is close enough to the 875R so that I can actually modify it in post, but that does require work in the post-production process. But again, we knew that this was never going to be as good as this. Of course not. So do the conveniences that this mic provides balance the scales between the difference in quality of this mic versus this mic? And I think it does. What it does is it lowers the barrier of entry to high quality audio. This system with all this stuff is, with the best will in the world, a steep learning curve. But if you put that aside and all you do is work with this and this, you have a much lower barrier of entry to get to systems like this, which are superior in their quality. But I need to reiterate, this mic is good. It's great for what it does even. And at less than $200, it is incredibly accessible for most beginner and intermediate filmmakers. I can even see professional documentary filmmakers using this to put a mic in a less than ideal scenario inside of a location where they're shooting. Because this is a shotgun microphone that is wireless, completely wireless, it just provides a lot of convenience to the shooting process. So would I recommend this microphone? Yeah, it's awesome. Aside from just being a super convenient piece of kit, it comes in its own little carrying case, which is very, very convenient. It's all laser cut, and it comes with a cable so that you can use the system with your phone if you don't have a regular cinema camera like what I'm shooting on. So again, it just lowers the barrier of entry to high quality audio for people that are getting into filmmaking. Thanks for watching, hope you like it. Thumbs up, subscribe, do all the stuff. I really appreciate it, it means a lot. I'll see you next time. Bye.